Well, let's move over to the Far East then. We're going to go Shiseido WTA Finals in Shenzhen in China and return of Mrs. Snize. We won't mention what happened today because obviously we're Team Andreescu. We have a little Romanian geezer who loves Simon Halep. So we're going to start off with Andreescu at 4.75, Snize.
Yay! Starting out with the positives. So we are in Shenzhen. This is the final event of the year. I mean, the final event that matters at least. Top Elite 8 players in the world contesting for $14 million, 1,500 ranking points if undefeated throughout, and all the glory of beating the best. This is the first time it's taking place in Shenzhen. Big arena seating 13,000 spectators. It looks to be really, really slow, but also low bouncing conditions. So the counterpunchers and variety-based players are favored, and Andreescu is one of those. She's only 19 years of age, but she's been almost unstoppable this season, starting outside the World 150, but rising to World number 6, has taken huge hardcourt titles this season. She won Toronto, she won Indian Wells, and she won the US Open, and she's been almost unbeatable. She's only lost, I think 3 or 4 completed matches all year, and was recently on a 17-match win streak. She's been drawn in the purple group, which I think is the weaker one, with Svitolina, Pliskova, and Halep. She obviously lost the first match here in 3 sets against Halep, but I still fancy her chances here against Pliskova, who really isn't favored by these slow conditions, and Svitolina, who has been troubled by a knee injury
They're big names,
almost all year.
They're big names in this group.
Big names, but Andreescu, until she lost against Osaka recently and then Halep, she was undefeated against top 10 players. I still think she is arguably the best player in the world. I'd say Osaka right now is better, but I'd still put her above anyone else. And in this group at this price, I fancy her to make it through to the semifinals and go on a title run.
Snize, is there a chance that this is one tournament too far for Andreescu with the year that she's had and the schedule that she's had?
It could well be, considering she is a very injury-prone player, and she did seem to be hampered by something in her first match, so that is a concern. But overall, she has actually played among the least amount of matches of the players that are participating here. And she's also had time off, given that she qualified quite early. She's barely played during the Asian swing. So if she can get over whatever physical niggle she had there in the first match, she should be fine, but definitely a possibility with an injury-prone player, and especially this late in the year after a big breakthrough season, injuries are always a threat for any player.
Yeah, I mean, I would look at her and the way her body is. I'd say she's still developing as an athlete. And when you talk about the schedule that she's had, there wouldn't be many that have had more intense matches. I mean, some of these people might have played 30, 40% more games, but the intensity and the arenas that she's had to put into, you'd expect fatigue to definitely kick in, and she's had a well-deserved rest. But remember, the first major is only just round the corner in tennis terms. So this will probably be her last, have a break, and then kick on, ready for next year. Bencic, James, at 13. Tough opening match, quite a tough group. What do you think?
So she's 26 now, which is much more appealing, given that she's probably the best underdog in the whole group, and she's the underdog for the whole thing. But I thought she looked pretty physically impaired in the first match, so I'm not sure I would go with that now. I actually to be honest, personally, I kind of prefer maybe just taking a chance on the favorite, for Osaka.
Yeah.
For me, the thing about this week, I was all behind Andreescu, who, by the way, she's 7 now. So, I mean, the thing is, she's always been good to back, especially when she's behind. So I couldn't put anyone off backing her again. But I did feel like physically she was struggling, and I think, as you say, she puts 100% into every match. So it's a little bit difficult for me. She's had a lot of time off, but she also had a massive injury. So it's kind of like, oh, well, she had an injury, which took quite a bit of time off her. So I'm a little bit defensive with that. So I'm gonna go for Osaka. I think I'm just gonna take a chance on her steamrolling through this. I think she didn't look possibly her best in the first match, but Kvitova is a dangerous player to play against as an underdog. It's always hard to play against her, and I think for me, Osaka's the only player who I would actively bet on to beat Andreescu right now. That might change. I might look silly if Andreescu comes back with a vengeance, but my expectation is that Osaka, I think, has been a little bit dormant for most of this year. Come out of a shell recently, and I think she'll steamroll this personally.
What sort of price are we looking at, James? I like that, Osaka. Like I liked Sabalenka last week. I did give it to you, boys. I know you copied me.
She's 4.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, we like Osaka. She'll be on. We'll have a few shekels on her. Osaka and Barty, 3 sets at 2.58. Who wants that one?
Yeah, so this is now 2.42. It was originally 2.69, which made absolutely no sense because it's an even money match. So unless one of them gets bageled in the first set, they're probably going to be about 2.5. So this one, again, it's difficult to read these matches. I don't find that value is particularly thick on the ground, if you like, in these type of events. But I think, to me, I would be surprised if either player had it easy here. It's kind of contrasting styles to some degree, so they'll probably have ebbs and flows. Both of them, so they played recently. It went to 3 sets. Osaka won, which is basically what I would expect this time. So you could also take 2-1 to Osaka if you can get something like 4.4. But I kind of prefer this one. I'm not sure I directly want to oppose Barty. I think this price is quite nice on her pushing it. She's also a player, both of them are in fact, who at this respective odds range, so when they're priced very close against elite players, the top 5, top 10, they do go to 3 sets a lot, especially Osaka. So it's the kind of matchup where I'm basically expecting one of them to have more dominance in one set and kind of then fade a little bit or burn themselves out, either Osaka by hitting her off the court or Barty perhaps by defending very well but wearing herself out doing that. They've both gone to 3 sets in their opening match this week. And again, I think as Snize says, conditions look pretty tough to hit through the courts. So I don't think Osaka's likely to have it easy against Barty. I think she's going to have to really push her to hit through her. So
yeah, I think it's fair to say that when it comes to an absolute gruel, an absolute power session, then there wouldn't be many that hit the ball harder than Barty at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Snize, Osaka, money line at 1.83. You expect her to get the job done against Barty?
Yes, I do. So both players here, like James said, I like that look on the over 2.5 sets as well. I think it'll be a tough match, but I'm just not going against Osaka when she's in this kind of flow. When she gets on a roll, she's the best player in the world, and right now she's in that unstoppable mood. She has extended her win streak to 11 straight wins now after winning both Osaka and Beijing, and she looked good in her first match, albeit a bit slow. Quoting herself, she said, quote, "I'm not great at first rounds. It takes me a little bit to warm up. I think that this tournament forces you to do well early." So she managed to get through a tough opener there against Petra Kvitova, where she almost went 0-3 and came through to win in 3 sets. Barty, on the other hand, went down the first set against Bencic, and I think that it was a really cagey affair, and she was really helped by Bencic picking up a foot injury in the second set, in which she then could take control and dominate behind her serve. As I've written in my outright preview of this tournament, I don't really trust Barty. She will end the year as the world number 1, but I think that her form has really, really dropped off as of late. She has the worst combined record against all the Elite 8 of any player participating in the tournament. And we've seen this matchup go Osaka's way before. She's won both matchups on hard court. She's 2-1 in the last 3 head-to-head meetings. And while they also has all the variety and the wicked slice you could utilize, Osaka just has that overpowering power off the ground that's been able to just put Barty on the back foot and not be able to compete. She has the lower floor, the Japanese, but she also has the much higher ceiling, and I expect that to be the difference in this one and continue her win streak and make it 12 in a row.
Yeah, I must agree. I think Osaka's great value at 3 to 1, which is at 4. I'm going to have a few shekels on her. Great job last week, gentlemen, as it has been for the last few months. Keep it going. Keep all your articles coming at oddsmarket.com and at SBR. Once we have these two out the way, James, first of all, is it now time for the players to have time off and get ready for like the Australian?
Yeah, so player scheduling is something I will complain about to a lot of people who will listen. There are certain players who do it particularly badly, like Team, but generally speaking, anytime you can take some time off, I would. I think someone like Federer should be a model for people. Obviously, not everyone can play just the elite events, but yeah, realistically, this time of year, if you've not done enough already, maybe, if you're really feeling it and you're not tired at all because you've been out of form, maybe have a run. I'm kind of hoping Kachanov does that this week in Paris. But in general, yeah, I think you should be really winding down, focusing on, how you're going to play next year, what you did well, what you did badly, all the basic stuff that players have to focus on.
What about you, Snize? Are you one of those that you think when you're playing well, just keep rolling? Or do you have to keep a little bit in reserve?
Depends on who you are as a player and even as a person. Players like Roger Federer, obviously, he's up there in the age. He knows his body extremely well. He knows how much he can play and how to pace himself to last through not only the season, but to last in the long run. And I think this pacing thing is something that all players will have to learn eventually in order to compete at the top level, because injuries will happen, and injuries really hurt you in tennis. As you lose your ranking, you lose your ability to compete and earn points and money, and it's really hard to get back up there. Personally, I believe that if you're in form and your body's feeling all right, well, then go for it. Push you as hard as you can, but you always have to keep that in the back of your mind that there's always next year, there's always more tournaments to come, and you don't want to risk your career over just one good run.
Okay,
it's
boys.
about being deliberate, really. Yeah, it's just about having an actual deliberate plan. So you're trying to peak for something. Like, Federer is always trying to peak for Wimbledon, for the Australian, these different events.
Yeah, and we've had a question here, Snize. Can you sort out that hair?
I don't know what you mean by sort out that hair. This hair is very well sorted out right now. Look at this beautifully flowing.
Yeah, it's just
beautiful mask of just a Rastafari brilliance. I don't know what you want to do with this hair. This is to find the way it is.
I think it was a very jealous question from G. Watson.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Exactly.
Sounds like it.
Exactly. Hey, listen, lads, keep up the great work. Love seeing you. And let's hope we have a couple of winners by the end of the week.